All right. So Alex asks, I have several shippers I think lowballing or that are lowballing rates. How can I get them at higher rates? Well, the key to not selling on rate is to sell on value. If you find a shipper that is only focused on rate, don't waste your time. I would absolutely never waste 1 ounce of energy or breath on somebody that's 100% focused on rate. There are plenty of shippers out there that you can find that are not just focused on rate. They're focused on value. They're focused on relationship. They're focused on trust. They're focused on service. They're focused on other things beyond just rate, because those are all important components of the service and of any successful vendor-customer relationship. So if your clients are 100% focused on rate, don't waste your time. That's number one. Number two, what you have to explain to them and help them to understand is that while you're not the cheapest, right? Cheapest is rarely synonymous with best. And so at that point, you explain to them why you charge a little bit more and why you deserve a little bit more and why it would be smart for them to invest a little bit more. And so you differentiate yourself. If you get on the phone with a shipper and the shipper starts dictating the rates to you and you can't make money at those rates, don't waste your time. You can't, my grandfather had an old saying, you can't make a silk purse out of a pig's ear. And people laugh when I say that, but that's just really the way it is. So if they're all focused on rate, don't worry about it. There's a trick that I used, a tip that I used. Here's another sales tip that I used that worked very effectively across almost any industry. And that is this. When you get on the phone with the prospect for the first time, at some point during the first few minutes of that phone call, I used to say to my prospect, Joe, let me just share something with you really quick. I know you're a busy guy and I don't want to waste your time. But if you're one of those companies that's only focused on price and your number one determining factor of doing business with another vendor is price, then I'm probably not your guy. But because I'm rarely the cheapest. But if you want to know why my customers are willing to pay me a little bit more, I'll be more than glad to explain that to you. Is that fair? And when they continued the conversation, a lot of times they would say, oh yeah, no, of course we want a fair rate, but we're not just focused on price. It's important that we have this and this and this. Great. If they continued to talk to me beyond that first call, now I know, and I've pre-qualified them, that I'm not going to be the cheapest. And so I now know what they're looking for, right? They're looking for value. So that's a perfect example. That's a good question. Thank you for asking. Hey, if you enjoyed this Freight Broker Q&A, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to click the little bell to ensure that you get notified every time I release a new video. And if you have questions, make sure you add them in the comments below, and who knows, maybe I'll use one of your questions on a future Freight Broker Q&A.